You'll be like poking a bear by the time we get to Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh my God, I'm already like pretty close. So yeah.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, yeah, that's what I meant to say, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
We swear we're not drunk. My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we've got our first Shang Chi teaser trailer.
Dang straight.
I'm not going to tell you I called it, but I so fucking called this last weekend.
Good job, Chris. Pats on the back.
Thank you. I need this win right now, Mike. You know I do. MODOK arrives on Hulu next month. We got another trailer for you to look at there.
Jeff Loeb clinging to the podcast. Anyway, he can't.
Yeah, goddamn. I was talking about Inhumans to someone yesterday. I just... Anyway, Mortal Kombat gets its reboot on HBO Max and in theaters. We watched it. We'll let you know how it is and more.
Yes, and of course we will be talking about the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we've placed that nicely and neatly at the end of the show. So
the finale of the episode.
Yes, if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, you will be at least protected by minutes and time codes until we get down to there. But if you run into the spoilers, it's just your own problem. We're giving you all this heads up. You probably got maybe a good 45 minutes until we start talking about that.
Right, exactly. And the worst part is, again, I work on Fridays. And I don't get to wake up and watch Falcon or watch it on my lunch break, Falcon Winter Soldier. Like the hardest things, like the last episode, like with WandaVision, thank God I got to wake up. But like Falcon, I'm like, don't click on any links, don't go to Twitter, don't go to Reddit, don't do anything in case something happens. Because the finale is usually the next stuff. So anyways, Mike, I'm high energy. I just downed an energy drink while we were recording that Mortal Kombat thing. Yeah,
and you're on an empty stomach. Chris is a lean, mean commentary machine right now. He has already told me he is fantasizing about the food he's going to eat once we're done recording. Because we just finished, like you said, recording the Mortal Kombat spoiler cast. So I started throwing Taco Bell ideas at him. He's got tabs open. He's looking at food, talking about potatoes. It's crazy.
Mike was like, "What do you want?" And I said, "Taco Bell." And he's like, well, I wanted it last night, and I still want it today. And I'm like, God damn. So now, I'm looking at the Taco Bell online menu, and it's just driving me nuts. It's like, it's hard to, like, when you want something so bad, it's like the day before, like an Avengers movie or something. You're just salivating for it. Like, you can't wait. And that's how I feel about dinner tonight. It's been one of those days. We've had a guest staying over. We're all vaccinated. Got to be careful. So we're all fully vaccinated, and when someone comes over, what do you normally do? You go out for brunch. You know what I had for brunch? A pitcher of mimosas, Mike. So that's how the day started, and now
so
I'm hungry at the end of it.
You're running on mimosas and energy drinks right now with an empty stomach, and we're about to talk about a lot of nerdy stuff here. So I hope you got the fuel in you, man.
I'm coming in strong. If anything, I might peter out by the end of it, but I'm coming in strong. And, I'm going to go ahead and segue into this because, the title of what you're about to talk about is something no one has ever called me before. So,
well, I was going to say, if you need a chance to mellow out, cozy on up to HBO and check out a show that I believe started airing in 2016, but this show is based on some Vimeo shorts. I believe that's where they originally started. That's a show called High Maintenance. I am incredibly late to the party on this one. There's a good chance that you've heard about this, watched it already. I'm just getting around to watching High Maintenance, and I thought I'd bring it up on the show because it's a very interesting format of a TV show that I haven't quite come across before. So the show is about a weed dealer in New York City, and this is kind of before the time. I think New York just started legalizing recreational, or at least New Jersey or something. I don't know exactly what's happening on the East Coast, but it's still technically illegal in this show. So it's just about a chummy weed dealer who rides around New York City on his bicycle and just delivers weed to different characters around the city. And he's almost like an incidental character in his own TV show. So each show is about these different people that are ordering weed or come across this guy, and he just kind of pops in and out every once in a while. So it's this kind of interesting formula of just like, it's more like, let's make a TV show where we get to explore just very interesting people and their lives in a little microcosm of like 30 minutes in New York City. But every once in a while, this guy might deliver weed to them, or maybe his bike will brush their path or something like that. So we just started watching it. It's pretty fun. It's pretty creative. A lot of people, I've heard really positive things. And, surprise, surprise, we are 4 days out from 420. So I think you can guess why we decided to start watching it at this time of the year. So
Go on, tell me why.
So go and check out High Maintenance on HBO/HBO Max, or wherever AT&T is streaming content to you, because they own it now. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Chris.
I have not. No, this is the first time I've come across it, at least that I know of. Mind you, I may have heard of it before. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's definitely got a comedic tone all the way through it. A little bit of a drama, but it's overall pretty good. But the other thing that I was watching this week, just because server queues, server issues, downloading lots of data, is the new season for Call of Duty Warzone. If you're a Warzone player out there, they nuked Verdansk. They nuked. I know they didn't nuke Rebirth Island, but Rebirth Island is gone. We've traveled back in time to the 80s of a past Verdansk where the TV station's gone, and now there's like an array tower. The dam's missing, and now it's some sort of like a mountain control center. Buildings have gotten shorter.
Yeah,
Everything's gotten greener.
Yeah, I was gonna say the color palette's really changed from what I've noticed. Everything's like, the buildings are fresher, right? This is when everything was alive in this fictional city of Verdansk.
Yeah, it's weird. I really only bring it up because I feel like this is a creative solution. Like you bring up, like you've told me about Fortnite before, the fan bases for these free battle royale games are just absolutely atrocious. You can never appease any of them. The game will always be trash. The game will always be canceled. The game will always be over.
Game.
But they'll always go back to it and keep playing it. Yeah. So I just thought it was a creative solution of just like, oh, how do you kind of refresh this map? Oh, take it back in time, which means we don't need to do all of this QA on a brand new map and like figure out how it's going to lay out. It's the exact same layout. We're just going to tweak the different areas. But since it's kind of like this Eastern European fictitious city, a lot of stuff really looks like it originated from the 80s just to begin with, even in 2020. So you'll be walking around in some areas and just like, oh, they didn't have to change anything because this has kind of always looked like the 1980s. So I just wanted to give it a shout out because I just thought it was a creative solution to a problem of just like, how do we give them a new map without literally making a brand new map? But I'm trash at Warzone. I don't really play it that often, but I think I realized today as I was dabbling a little bit in it, when brand new season starts, are great times to play because not only are you getting like a double XP weekend, you get a lot of new and returning players to the game who haven't played in a while, and you can actually win some gunfights because like if you're playing like mid-season or late in a season, the only people still playing the game are like these sweaty gamers that just take the game super seriously, and I'll die in every single gunfight and it's not fun anymore. So I'll probably play a Warzone for maybe another week or so, and then I'll hop back onto Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then thanks to the diligent eyes of you, I downloaded Horizon Zero Dawn for free on the PlayStation Network. And also a shout out to the website CD Keys, which seems like a shady website, but you can get like a 50% off PlayStation subscription there, and they're totally legit. I've been buying all of my PlayStation Plus subscriptions from them.
I will double down on it. I agree. I get my PlayStation Plus from there. I actually believe I bought my Call of Duty Black Ops key from there for my thing, or another. So it'd be Ineba, ENEBA. They look sketchy, but those keys work and they back them up. So always check that. I would say the cool thing about Call of Duty that Warzone, the update for Season 3, is going back in time. Is literally the assets for this game are in Black Ops Cold War, which is set in the 80s as well. So so I think that's cool. It feels like it's not just like, oh, it solves Mike's problem while also fitting into the main game as well. You're like, oh, that game was in the 80s, so it is
kind of weird, and it's kind of hard to connect lore to a battle royale game, because the concept of a battle royale where you drop in on this island just doesn't really make any narrative sense. But the whole reason Verdansk was nuked to begin with was it was overrun by zombies. But Verdansk was created out of the normal Modern Warfare timeline, which is very realistic. Absolutely nothing supernatural involved at all in the normal Call of Duty games, and it's only the Black Ops games that deals with the zombies. So it's like you're playing like this battle royale game that's very rooted in reality, and you're destroying an entire map because of zombies, because of another franchise that uses zombies. So it's all very confusing. I feel bad for anybody who tries to keep track of the lore, and I don't really care about the lore, but I'm having some fun sniping some people from across the map. So that's all I really do when I'm in the game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, I'm going to swap the gears over to the Avengers game. This week,
you're still playing that, Chris? I think you're the only person still playing this game.
I can guarantee you I'm not, because I've been matchmaking with all these people recently, and the reason there's a high spike this week is it's called a Tachyon Anomaly event. And I say those words to you, and you're going to look at me like I'm stupid. But this is the mode that people wanted it at launch, but they've made it work into the storyline where you can have multiples of the same character in a level now. Because of Tachyon Anomaly, that the story involves time travel. So literally you can have different Hulks. I've been playing Hulk, leveling him up, and I had 4 Hulks in like 8 matches yesterday alone. So if you can just imagine the gamma radiation off the ground, the debris flying everywhere, the Hulk pounding, it's fantastic to play as all these characters. And then I lost 2 Hulks, and we gained 2 Iron Men. So if you can imagine the Hulk debris and the Iron Man lasers and rockets going everywhere, it's just chaos, and it's awesome. And it really kind of highlights, again, when they're trying to do, like, again, you said, like, the storyline, trying to stick to the storyline in online, it's not what people want all the time, right? Like, you want to play games the way you want to play them. And I think, if they had the opportunity where, you can play as multiple, like, my favorite character is Thor by far. So I could only, if I played a regular game before this, only one person could be Thor. And that sucks if, like, everyone wants to play Thor, right? So this mode allows you to literally join up with your friends, join up with strangers, and everyone be the character they want to play, and play the whole level that way without any any restrictions like that. So that's been really fun. And they also, I think for this purpose, they actually took the matchmaking level cap and went from like 1 to 100, like very vague. So like I was playing with literally a level 1 Captain America earlier today, and I'm like, boy, you're not gonna like this. But it made my Hulk, who was like level 80, feel that much more powerful, taking down all these guys that were ranked for his level. So while people may not be playing Avengers, there's been free updates. Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, Black Panther, and Wakanda are coming later this summer. Spider-Man for the PlayStation owners, Mike. Free content's great, and I think this Tachyon Anomaly will. I think if you're on the fence or been off the fence, jump back in. I think you'll see a lot of things have changed, and you can play as any character without limitations for that. So that's my pitch for anyone who has Avengers and that, or if they were waiting to pick it up, and it's been on sale, I think around between $20-$25 lately. That's a good time to do it. On the flip side of that is probably the low point of my week. The lowest point of my entire week, Mike, was watching the worst Mortal Kombat movie in the world. Not the new one. Mortal Kombat Annihilation from 1997. It wasn't 97, I believe. I'm gonna have to look this up.
Who knows? It's a very 90s film, so you can say any year. I believe.
Oh my god, it's awful. It is bad. like it's a sequel. Yeah, 97. That they keep the main character Liu Kang, they keep the main character Katana, but everybody else is recast. There's no spoilers here. They go so far, they killed Johnny Cage in the first 2 minutes of the movie. Like literally snap his neck. They've recast.
I don't remember that.
oh yeah, it's even a recast Johnny Cage. Raiden was recast by James Remar, also known as Dexter's dad, from the TV show.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, there's characters like Motaro, who's like a centaur dude. There's a 4-armed Shiva. You're like, they just did Goro. Like, why would you have this other lady? It was bad. It's real bad. The effects are awful. The story makes even less sense, and it lacks what I think the new movie has, and that's fatalities. So. It's just no fun. I will tell you, I was watching this movie with an intense eye. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "The guy who plays Shao Kahn looks familiar." And we keep going. About 20 minutes later, I'm like, he is Buffalo Bill in the Joe Dirt movie. So
are you talking about Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat Annihilation or the new Mortal Kombat movie?
Shao Kahn wasn't in the new one.
Oh, well,
if that tells you how
characters.
Shao Kahn is he's essentially like the ruler of Outworld, the king of Outworld. We didn't get to see him yet, but like the actor Shao Kahn was literally the guy who played the it puts the Joe Dirt in the hole guy from the Joe Dirt movie. I'm like,
oh, okay.
What a swing in his career from Mortal Kombat Annihilation, playing the muscle guy to this. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, if you're gonna watch the old Mortal Kombat movies before the new one, skip this one. Just watch the original from '95, and this one will be completely fine. There are a bunch of movie clips on YouTube if you just want to go watch those and see how bad it is the whole time, because you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate yourself. Even the character Jax in this one, like, he gets arm upgrades, but they just go over his arms, and at the end of the movie he just rips them off and then fights with his regular arms. So I'm like, this is bullshit.
What was the point?
Yeah, so the real fighter was in you the whole time. Like, that's what it was. But anyway, I watched that. I'm only saying this because it's going to kick off into our news, but I messed up here and we're taking a week off next week, everybody. Mike's calling it something else. He's calling it Finals Week.
I'm calling it Superhero Slate Finals Week because I feel like we missed the window for spring break, Chris. People, if you remember back into your college days, it would be about Finals Week. You'd be wrapping up and you'd be packing up your dorm and heading back to your parents' house here soon.
Right. Or, as my wife's a teacher, she doesn't do any of her final testing until late May, almost June. So how about this? Since it's the Kentucky Derby next week, can we call it the Superhero Slate Derby Break?
Derby Break. I love it because it can be either horses or the hat, the derby type of hat. And I know there's hats at derbies. I'm talking about just the derby, totally devoid of horse racing. So however you want to picture it, this is an audio medium, so use your imagination.
We're taking a break next week. We've all got things we're going to do that are going to put us in different places at the wrong time. So we've not taken a break since, almost 2 years ago now?
I feel like we haven't taken a break in like 6 years, just in general, like spiritually. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a break. If some, I will say this: if something pops up, we could probably jump on the mic for like a half-hour show.
It would have to be. That would have to be monumental news.
But it would have to be huge. But I mean, I'm not gonna rule that out because anytime we say that, something big pops up that week. So, but yeah, we're gonna take a break off next week. Hopefully, everyone can enjoy either the Kentucky Derby or if you have a Derby hat, enjoy that as well. We're in honor of this. But anyway, we were so blessed to have a subscription to HBO Max to be able to watch Mortal Kombat at home this weekend, Mike. Both of us today, actually, right? We're fresh today. Mortal Kombat. We did a spoiler-filled review over there because it is Mortal Kombat. There's nothing really new to it. Now we're here with our regular spoiler-free review. Mike, sir, I will let you kick it off.
This is going to be difficult because we totally avoided a spoiler-free review in our spoiler cast. We just jumped right into it. I guess I can just say this is just a completely average summer blockbuster movie to me. If this didn't have IP attached to it, this would be insanely forgettable and no one would ever remember it later down the line, and this would be like a free movie streaming on like the Roku channel, but since it's an IP, people are paying attention to it. It's connected to characters that people are familiar with. I don't really like the acting. I don't like the story. Some of the fatalities are fun. Some of the fights are okay. Kano has some humorous moments, but yeah, overall, this one was not for me. I don't even think I would put this under the category of like kind of turn your brain off, just have fun, because I don't even think they really have that much fun themselves in the movie. So I'm very glad I did not have to pay for this film. It just comes bolted in with the subscription of HBO Max, where I watch plenty of other things. So getting my money's worth here. I know it sounds like I'm just beating this movie into the ground, and I am. I'm finishing it. This is my fatality. I only saw one spine for a brief moment. That's the only spoiler I'll give you. So I won't be in line for a sequel. But that being said, if the sequel is free in some aspect and I don't have to put a lot of effort into it, yeah, I might watch it. But that's Mortal Kombat 2021 from me. It did kind of make me want to go back and watch the original Mortal Kombat just because I have nostalgia for it. I'm sure it's not really a great movie either, but at least I have nostalgia that might help prop it up a little bit. But that's about it. That's about it for me. And Mortal Kombat 2021.
I am, again, I'm going to use my favorite phrase for the day. We are the Mortal Kombat generation of people. We grew up with it. We know what it is. Whether you're a fan or not, we at least can talk coherently about Mortal Kombat with each other. I think, Mike, you're more of a casual Mortal Kombat person. And I'm a Mortal Kombat fan. I played a lot of the games.
Aficionado.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I joined really late on Mortal Kombat 11 here, because fighting games, like your money's like, am I going to beat it the first day and like regret spending $60 or what? But so I bought the Ultimate. So I lean more to the fan. I grew up playing the game. So when I had my 10th birthday party, we had a sleepover and we watched both of the original movies. Like, I love Mortal Kombat, but this movie suffers from a lot of like no real point of what's going on here. I'm trying not to spoil anything. Like, what is happening in this movie? It's a B movie. I would probably go to a C movie. So I'm really glad, it's making money in the theaters because it's the only movie out there right now. But like, I'm kind of glad I didn't pay to go see it, but I would pay to have gone and see it if it was there, because I lean into I love, as a Mortal Kombat fan, I would like to watch this movie and hopefully get a second one that brings more to the table, because this one just throws, for lack of a better phrase, a bunch of shit at the wall and hopes that it sticks. Mike, I think you can agree with that. And,
it's definitely a movie that is acting like it's going to get 4 more films. And it's like, oh, just wait, stick around, fans. All the good stuff is coming in the next one. And it's just like, dude, I'm not even going to be here for the next one.
Yeah. I think I would be here for the next one. But again, I think, our difference between me and Mike is like, I think we feel the same, but like, as a fan of the game franchise, I'm like, yeah, I could watch it, just because I want to see the characters, I want to see the names, something familiar. And there are some things familiar if you've played the games in this, and you'll see that throughout. But then there's also a bunch of new stuff that you're like, what the hell were they thinking? So I'm gonna sit right in the middle, a nice 50%. If you're, I'm just gonna say, if you like Mortal Kombat games, you might find some stuff to enjoy in this movie. But if you don't like the games, you're gonna be like, don't waste your time. Just gonna go ahead and get that out of the way. So I think that's a pretty good review. There's it's on HBO Max, like I said, like Mike said, for free with your subscription. So that's a plus, but not HBO Plus. That's not something they offer. But I think if you can turn in, it's like what was it, an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half.
Yeah, it seemed the last half of the movie was rushed, but the movie seemed too long, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and there are some fun characters and some that stand out a little bit more than others. So I think you'll they'll agree with that. But yeah, so Mortal Kombat now streaming 2021. I don't think the other ones are streaming anywhere. I think we looked that up the other day, didn't we? On Just Watch.
It's streaming on Chris's home media server if you're lucky enough to have access to it.
Yeah, no, and I guess you do, Mike. But no, it's fine. So there's that. Moving along, we're gonna talk about a couple trailers this week. The first I want to talk about is the upcoming MODOK show, the stop motion, almost claymation looking, but I'm pretty sure it's animated series coming to Hulu in May. And this is the last remnant, or one of the 2 last remnants of the Jeff Loeb era of greenlit stuff. But this has, I believe, the benefit of a really good cast, Mike, that makes me actually feel hopeful for this more than any other show that has come out of that series. It
has the possibility of staying power because you have the star power that is Patton Oswalt, which carries a lot of weight here in the community that's going to be watching this type of show. And also it's animated, so you don't have to worry about any sort of live action jumbling of just like, Cloak and Dagger or a Netflix show, or we never got that Brave New Warriors, Brave Warriors.
There was new,
whatever it was called.
Yeah, New Warriors was with the Squirrel Girl thing.
Yeah. You never have to worry about like the muddiness of the live action or how it's going to play with the MCU. But this is animated. The fact that we're seeing some mainline kind of like AAA Marvel heroes popping up in this trailer for this show. Goes to show you that they're not worried about crossing streams with the main universe. Yeah. This was funny because I didn't realize this new trailer had came out, and this was one of those when you're watching YouTube and you don't have ad block, which basically means when you're watching YouTube on your TV and you get the ads that pop up, and it's just like, who on earth is going to watch a 2-minute ad? I'm definitely going to skip that after 5 minutes. But the video that I was watching had the MODOK trailer, and I was like, I don't think I've seen this one yet. So. You're welcome, Claire Saffitz, the at-home chef. You got a whole 2-minute YouTube ad payout from me because I watched this in front of a YouTube trailer. But I was like, I was pleasantly surprised to be able to greeted with this when I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, and I linked the Jordan Blum version on Twitter, which I believe it just doesn't bleep the word shit. So like there's an uncensored version. So it looks like Hulu, like this series will have like maybe mature for language or something like that. Maybe TV 14, whatever. Like I said, it looks like, there's going to be some action. There's humor. Again, Patton Oswalt's really selling this character. I think he's fun. I think there's a scene where he's dragging the trash out in his big floaty chair and he dumps it all over the yard. Just
normal, at-home issues that just like a maniac villain has to deal with.
And then they play, I believe it's a Third Eye Blind song, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like a Third Eye Blind cover. It's not quite Third Eye Blind, but it sounds like Third Eye Blind.
And then he's singing it, though. Like, it becomes like, it's part of like the music of the show. Then he's like singing it, and then like, who's with him singing it?
A robot like pops in. Like,
that's an adaptoid. That's an adaptoid, yeah.
Okay.
And this feels fun, and I'm like, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this of the old Marvel TV stuff that's still coming out. But yeah, we saw Iron Man, who's voiced by what's the Mad Men guy?
John
the main guy in Mad Men. John Hamm is voicing Iron Man. Nathan Fillion's doing Wonder Man. So on and so forth. So they got a pretty big voice cast in here as well. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike? I mean, you seem to be kind of on board with this a little bit as well.
No, I'm down for this. Any time that you get to go satirical with something that you really like, it's fun. It's almost kind of like you're not really roasting something that you really like, but you're just allowing to have fun. I realize that we don't have this in our notes, so maybe we talked about it last week, but I just kind of evaporated from my mind. But they're adding that Robot Chicken Star Wars show to Disney Plus. And that's like the same type of thing where you have this.
That was a rumor. They're not putting the detours anywhere yet. They've never said that.
Oh man, I thought that was for real. You're the one that sent me the link, Chris.
Yeah, no, it's a rumor that it may come to it, but like there's no confirmation. Like they're like
gotcha.
Like I wish it did. I wish it did because like that would be perfect. But
whether it drops or not, any sort of satirical take is always appreciated on my end of things. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, and also I believe it's just that room's made for it. But yeah, I mean this is a little bit over about a month away now, right, for the show. They're gonna drop all the episodes on Hulu, 10 episodes. It looks fun. Look
great. At the journalistic integrity Chris has here. He will not even let a rumor slip into this show. He does not want to give anybody any false hope.
I don't want to give myself false hope because I have to go back and listen to this.
This is why Chris runs the show notes for this show because I would be throwing literally everything here. We're going to talk about every rumor, anything that makes sense, anything that's going to make me angry or happy. We're going to talk about it.
So one of the podcasts I listen to outside of our own that we do, we listen to podcasts. It's a show that skewers clickbait where they compile the clickbait for the week.
Oh, really?
Like what they see, like 4 or 5 articles, and they click on it and like, okay, guess how long it is. Okay, guess who this is by, and so on and so forth. Like they just skewer clickbait all over the place like that. So one day I hope we get paid enough to do this, Mike, where we can just skewer clickbait on a show once a week. So. But yeah, MODOK trailer. Check the notes for the Twitter link there. Surprise, surprise! Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings gave us a trailer on Monday. I saw an image and I'm like, oh, I called it an image, and then they were like trailer. I'm like, holy shit, they're real. We are 4 months away from this. Is it 4 months away? Yeah, from September. Almost 4 months. So yeah, this is great. I mean, I didn't expect them to give us a teaser trailer. They are not really giving us any big points here, but I will tell you, man. That action scenes, that's movie action scenes right there. What do you think? I mean, what do you get out of this?
I was kind of interested in this kind of crouching tiger, hidden dragon kind of camera work and some action that we got to see in part of the trailer. It looks like, I don't know if they're flashing back in time or if we're looking at another dimension or universe or what's going on here, but there definitely seems to be short clips in this trailer where we're seeing almost like another realm. We're seeing people in like period costumes. Halfway through the trailer and about 2/3 through the trailer, you get to see almost like fantastical beasts, if you will, if I stray, sounding a little bit too much like a Warner Brothers property. But there's like it almost looks like a saber-toothed tiger, but it's definitely not a lion or a tiger or like a cheetah or anything like that. It's definitely otherworldly that pops up in this, which is really interesting for developing the MCU at large. The only time we've ever seen like creatures in the MCU is either out in space or, you know, connected to Thor's realm. So I'm curious what we're going to approach here, maybe in the past of Earth, or what exactly is going on here. So you can look at all that little stuff, but also like this just looks really fun. That I mean, I think everyone's favorite part is that like that double kick in the bus, right? That's the coolest part, where he's just like kicking both of those guys.
Oh yeah,
it's just great. It's fun. I can't wait to see more of this.
Well, I'm
having a good time.
Well, I'm going to go down the list because again, Marvel trailer, of course I go through the breakdowns, and of course they're teasing us with new stuff, but it looks like the 10 rings are armband size rings, not actual finger rings. As we were kind of led to believe.
Oh, like Sonya Blade? Like Sonya Blade rings on her forearms, Chris? Is that what we're getting?
No, stop it. But like, they look like metal rings. We see like they kind of charge up, maybe do some chi energy kind of blast there. It looks like there's some magical creatures in that big battle in that one land as well.
Yeah, there's something flying as well.
Yeah,
not quite as large as a pterodactyl, but definitely bigger than like even the biggest bat that exists.
Like maybe mini dragons, you think?
Yeah,
because you have dragons. So like I think so. These arm-sized bands lead me to believe that this could tie into the character Fang Foom from the comic books. Are you familiar with this character?
Sounds familiar. Yes.
He's a big green dragon. But he's an alien and he just looks like a dragon. And when he lands, he brought the 10 rings with him. And if these rings were maybe on his large dragon hands, they wouldn't fit human fingers. They would fit more like armbands.
I think the reason why I was thinking about Fang Foom, I don't know if this was canon with the Defenders on Netflix, or if people were just assuming because there was dragon like buried underneath New York City. So I don't know if that ended up being Fang Foom, or if that's just something that they were throwing around. But now it's starting to come back to me.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think it's one of those things. Like, it could be that we're gonna learn more about the 10 rings. The character WenWu is the. It looks like Shang-Chi's dad is the Mandarin. It looks like he's the one with the rings. We also get to see Razer Fist, which is the guy who's got essentially a blade for a hand in there. That looks pretty cool. You think they did that shot on the bus where he pushes it forward for 3D? Like the fused screens held in 3D stuff?
Oh my gosh, my popcorn's just going to fall right out of my bucket.
Oh my
it's
God,
just right in my face. Yeah. You know more about this than I would, but is the Mandarin, I suppose they could change it, but is the Mandarin a character's name, or is it like a title? Is it something that you carry if you're like the highest up in like a service?
In the MCU, it's a title. In the comic books, it was a name, but it was more of an insulting, derogatory term when it was created at the time. So like they kind of strayed away from that to make it more of a title. Of the Mandarin, rather than a stereotypical Asian man with a long Fu Manchu mustache.
It does make you wonder. Is the image of Ben Kingsley going to pop up at all, even for like a second, even if it's just like a crumpled like mugshot that somebody throws a dart at on a dartboard?
I
make an appearance.
Well, I mean, the 10 rings technically appeared in the first Iron Man movie, right? Like we've been dealing with the 10 rings since Iron Man 1. But I think they will touch on Ben Kingsley and what's his name, the guy who's actually said he was the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
It goes to show you how much I liked Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
I don't really remember the guy's name.
Yeah, he wasn't really a big part. But Ben Kingsley, though, he's wearing his hair like WenWu was in that one shot, right? Like he still had his hair up.
Yep.
So I think he'll, and then also, do you remember the short All Hail the King that was tied to Thor the Dark World?
Yeah, where is this the one where he's in prison?
Yeah, they break him out and they're like, the real Mandarin wants to see you. So I think we're going to get, like, I think this is going to pick up with that. I think we're actually going to see this carry over.
Yeah, that would be a nice thread to see kind of tied up. I'd appreciate that.
Clean it up a little bit for us. That'd be great. And then the other thing is there's a large city where it seems to be like some sort of fight tournaments going along. Fighting tournaments. Wow, what an idea that would be to see in a movie. But a lot of people are saying it matches with the aesthetics for the Madripoor scenes in Falcon Winter Soldier. And that maybe Falcon Winter Soldier used the shots like of the city for that show because they seem to be like movie quality kind of shots. So we might see this unauthorized fighting tournament go down in Madripoor at some point. So yeah, I mentioned Simu Liu, great actor, great personality, right? Like he's a fun guy. This movie, we didn't really get to see a lot of him, outside of the teaser for this whole thing. But I'm excited to see more of this, Mike. I'm very thrilled that this is our second Marvel movie.
The trailer dropped on his birthday, which I thought, I don't know if that was a coincidence or if they really wanted to just jive and make him happy. Like, who knows? Because I think usually what happens when a trailer is about to drop, usually the day before you get kind of first official images of the character or the first poster. Then the day later you get the trailer. It all came out on Monday. So it does make you think like, oh, let's just drop the trailer on Monday. It's his birthday. He'll have fun with that. So, yeah, I just thought that was cool. Yeah, Simu Liu's great. If you haven't yet, head on over to Netflix and watch Kim's Convenience. Great, hilarious show starring him and some other fine actors. So, yeah, go watch that, and it'll get you primed and ready to go.
And before we swap over this, there's one, I didn't put this in notes, but I think I shared it with you. There is an actor on the bus with Shang Chi who is the same actor who tells Spider-Man to do a backflip in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. So
that's interesting because I feel like the bus scene is happening in San Francisco. I have no definitive evidence. It just seemed West Coast to me. So who knows? They could be on a class trip. They can get on an airplane.
Well, the transit system seemed to have a hill there, and New York has no hills. Yeah. So I think so. And then also, just the actor Awkwafina, we just saw Sisu in the what's that dragon movie? Raya and the Last Dragon.
Awkwafina.
So she was Sisu. I think she's a great actress. I'm excited to see this. So sign us up. We're on board. Thor: Love and Thunder, currently filming or wrapping up filming, probably pretty close to it, down in Australia and New Zealand. Russell Crowe was down there filming, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm Zeus," pretty much on an Instagram picture. So sounds like we're going to be getting more gods in the universe, but with Gore the God Butcher, I would imagine we would see some quote unquote Marvel deities along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how interesting and otherworldly like Thor's world is. We don't really get to learn a whole lot about just kind of what is it like, what is the hierarchy like with all these other gods, because like Thor's always running off like to save Earth, so it's just like there's a lot of other stuff happening, so it would make sense that we would see these other characters like Zeus pop up and Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it'd be fun. I mean, we saw Zeus recently in the DC movie Justice League for a little bit, so they can kind of do that for a little bit. But yeah,
I think Zeus was kind of a recurring character on Earth's Mightiest Heroes, wasn't he? I feel like he popped up every.
It wasn't Zeus. It was Ares.
Oh, okay.
But still, like the Greek pantheon of gods. It's like they exist in there. So I mean, I think this will be fun to maybe dive into that a little bit. And Russell Crowe. Hopefully he's in a good mood. I mean, I like to see him do that. So, yeah, I'm down. I'm down with that. Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special. The script is complete via James Gunn. He shared a picture of the title. He did the old Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors trick here, where he gave himself a nickname based on it. James Long Elf Gunn.
I guess that just means he's much taller than a normal elf, so Long Elf.
Yeah, or it's some sort of euphemism for his Mike, one of the two.
Hey, who knows?
It says first draft 4/22/2021. Very excited for this. He did answer some questions. There is no word on how long the special is, but it will take place after Thor: Love and Thunder, but before Guardians Volume 3, and will debut Christmas time 2022.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why he specifically feels like he needs to state after Thor: Love and Thunder. It must just because Star-Lord is going to be in that in some capacity. So he's saying like, oh, one of my characters is in this film. So canonically, it needs to set in between these two things. But yeah, I'm curious how much of this is going to be canon, right? It's live action characters, same writer. Everything about this screams this is canon, but it is a holiday special. So who knows? I mean, even technically like theme parks at Disneyland are canon, to the different franchises they're connected to. They did like a whole build out of the story of the Star Wars park. I don't remember what that world's called, but technically I think it's canon. So they could make this canon, but just make sure nothing really ruins the MCU at large,
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, this is they say Disney Plus stuff carries over. It could just be a little fun adventure getting the cast. Yeah, they'll probably film it and then jump right into Volume 3.
My guess is that Peter, he misses the time of Christmas when he was a kid. It's a time that he remembers and he wants to share it with all of his friends. And, he's going to try to explain it. He's going to try to explain elves and Santa and Drax is going to make some sort of a joke about that sounds like aliens or it sounds like a planet. There's tons of hilarious stuff that, Gunn will knock out of the park.
I hope they don't go the route you just pitched because that's every Christmas special ever.
I mean, that's just the DNA of a Christmas special, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm just hoping maybe they deal with how other aliens and planets have their holidays because he's been with them for years now. Hopefully it's not the first time they're talking about Christmas.
Maybe Santa is legitimately real and he's an alien.
Yeah.
Maybe an alien visiting Earth, centuries ago as the origin of Santa Claus. Not Saint Nicholas, but just an alien that landed and was fat and wore red clothes.
Yeah, gave away presents to everybody. Like the reverse of the Collector kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so the script is written. They're working on the first draft, so that's cool by that. And James Gunn also said that the Suicide Squad is complete, but they're not releasing it early, so everything's locked and loaded for that movie, Mike. We're gonna see that on HBO Max pretty soon this summer. This will tie into some news later, but I just gotta put it here. Captain America, there's a fourth movie confirmed to be in the works now from Marvel Studios. So this will be from Malcolm Spellman, written by Malcolm Spellman, who is the showrunner, and Dalen Musson, who also worked on one of the episodes of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So they will write, or have been writing, I assume, for a while, this show for this movie. So
yeah, really hard to talk about this without any spoilers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I guess,
but Spellman did. I just want to put this out here because this was something we'll talk about later. But Spellman did the first, and he wrote, and he might have directed the first and last episodes of the show. And we'll put a pin in that for later. So we'll talk about that. Moving along, casting for Secret War, or Secret Invasion. I want to put Secret War, Secret Invasion, the Disney Plus show, dealing with the Skrulls with Nick Fury and stuff like that. I think Olivia Colman also, she's known as the Queen on some of those Netflix shows about the Queen. But of course, Emilia Clarke, the Daenerys herself, the Terminator killer herself, Sarah Connor, cast
her brief stint as a Terminator killer.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty big get, right? That's someone you want.
Yeah, that's a very big get. That's probably one of the biggest stars out there right now, just waiting to land somewhere. Obviously the Terminator thing did not work out, but I don't blame them for possibly maybe considering seeing if they could make that work. So it makes me think you don't cast somebody like Emilia Clarke in this unless she is going to be the villain, right? Because usually big casting in Marvel stuff, you're either the villain or you're a hero that lasts long enough that you transcend at least one title, right? So this is either going to be a villain that gets vanquished in the last episode, or she's going to be a character that persists in the MCU for a couple years moving forward. So exciting to see what that's going to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think I believe a lot of fan theories is that she is this Skrull Queen, who kind of took over, who hit as Spider-Woman in this. So maybe they could go that route where she is the villain and transfers to the movies, right? The movie universe. Or, maybe she could be a good guy. With Olivia Colman also cast in there. I'm just going to go ahead and type that in here. Olivia Colman could be the villain. and then this Amelia Clark could be like a red herring kind of thing.
Yeah, I heard that Amelia Clark could possibly be, I don't remember the character's name, but it was a more of a well-known kind of secret agent. I don't know if they're technically connected to S.H.I.E.L.D. or S.W.O.R.D., but, I guess there are some bigger agents from the comic books, that are still left open to casting. Who knows if we're going to be seeing Maria Hill. I feel like her character just kind of ebbs and flows. Like sometimes she's important, sometimes she's totally inconsequential. You never really know when she's going to be needed in the MCU, so maybe we'll bring in some more agents like that. Who knows? I mean, Secret Invasion, talk about espionage. I'm sure S.H.I.E.L.D. and agencies will be involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, that's... this is great. They already had like Nick Fury, Sam Jackson, and then Ben Mendelsohn as I forget his scroll's name, but they're putting some cast in here. So I'm excited to see this, and I think it's kind of got a big question mark. Is it the Secret Invasion, the Skrulls taking over, or is it the Kree disguising themselves as humans? Because some of them, like Jude Law, look like a person.
There's a secret. That's all we know.
Yeah,
there's a secret.
Yeah. And there's an invasion. Which one is it? We don't know. Well, we'll keep you posted. Spider-Man. After we just reported about Sony making a deal with Netflix to put all their shows there, they went and made a deal with Disney Plus as well to put their movies there. And people are like, how can they do this, Mike? Aren't they breaking their contract with Netflix? Well, you and me had a conversation about this, and I believe it's called, pay windows is what they use for these
Yeah, I don't know if it's pay windows or release windows or what terminology you want to use, or first run, I think is a terminology that's thrown out there as well.
I think they use pay window 1 for Netflix, which is whenever you would normally see a movie start to maybe trickle down to normal streaming services, which is about 9 months after the initial theater start. So it's like, 3 months in theater, and then, another month or two purchasing, or maybe 3 months, and then then it hits Netflix. But then after that 9-month window or whatever that is, so maybe they're thinking 12 to 18 months later, after initial air, it will be able to go to Disney Plus. And I'm like, that's a longer wait than they just promised us we would have, kind of thing.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting because if you're out here in Hollywood and you're just maybe more worried about just mergers, just kind of crushing the competition, and also just harming workers in general, just because power becomes too isolated, I almost see this as good news, right? Because a lot of people would just think oh, well, why doesn't Disney, or why doesn't Netflix, or why doesn't some sort of studio just buy out Sony Pictures and just own these properties all outright? But at the same time, it shows you that a studio does not necessarily have to start a streaming service or sell itself off to still make money, right? They're double dipping with their Spider-Man content. This is billions upon billions of dollars that they made on both of these deals. And it just goes to show you that you can still be lucrative. You can still just straight up be a studio that makes content. You don't have to have an overarching strategy of, digital distribution out there in the streaming world. So who knows if this ends up staying. Obviously, the only stink on this whole thing is I just don't like the joint custody over the character, the IP of Spider-Man. I don't think Sony needs to be totally dissolved as a studio to fix that issue. But I think this is a good sign. This is a good sign for a place like Legendary, possibly moving forward. One of the other few studios out there that doesn't have a streaming service yet. That just make good stuff, have a solid catalog, and then just sell it off, because these are all temporary contracts, right? I think maybe the longest length I saw in either one of these deals was 4 years, maybe. So
4 or 5, I think.
In 2025, or 2025, maybe 2026, depending on when this all starts, we'll be talking about this all over again. And who knows, maybe they'll be selling all of their stuff to HBO Max or Paramount Plus or something, and they'll just make more money off of it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where if you want to watch all the Disney / Marvel MCU films, you can't right now in one place. You're missing the Incredible Hulk, which is a Universal movie, and the Spider-Man movies.
If I had to be skeptical, though, really skeptical, I could say this could be a fundraising move, right? We're gonna double dip on all these properties. We're gonna bring in all of this capital off of stuff that we already own. and then use it to make a new streaming service, you know? So who knows if that could possibly end up happening. So it depends if you want to be cynical or be optimistic.
Sony canceled their TV stuff on their PlayStation. I don't think they want to be in the streaming industry. Like when they got to their PlayStation, it was like, oh, you have PlayStation Now where you can watch TV and movies and stuff. They just nixed it. They just killed it completely.
Maybe who knows? Maybe they're just streamlining. You don't know what's going on.
I'm pretty sure they're not double dipping. I'm pretty sure they're just like, look, we're just gonna make sure we know when this movie comes out in 18 months, we already know where it's gonna go. We've just negotiated the lifetime of this movie pretty much until we're like, yeah, put it wherever you want to do.
You know what organizational databases are like, Chris. They're just trying to streamline so they don't get hacked again. They're just like, we gotta build a better firewall, but we gotta optimize stuff.
Sony's like, we gotta sell TVs. We don't care what you're watching on, but we're gonna sell them TVs.
And don't piss off North Korea because we
buy
don't want our emails leaked again.
Buy a PlayStation 5. Damn it. So. But 2022 films like Morbius and Venom: Let There Be Carnage, I think are some of the first movies to be on this list. I don't know when the Spider-Man movies would land on Disney Plus right now, but we are almost 2 years after Far From Home, so it could be on there once the ink's dry on this paper, kind of thing. So we'll see. Speaking of Marvel shared properties, Mike, I know you love this. Is a rumor. I wanted to drop this rumor in here for you.
Juicy.
I know you love ruminating in these rumors. From a very solid source that has nailed other leaks before, they are saying that certain characters from the Netflix Marvel series could make their way to the MCU. And this includes Charlie Cox, Daredevil, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones, and John Bernthal's Punisher. Probably the only good ones that we remember.
Sorry, Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage. You remember Iron Fist? Yeah, me neither. None of them. But they would play. This report goes on to say that they would play MCU versions of their Netflix characters. So Charlie Cox would be Daredevil, but he wouldn't have his past from the Netflix. You don't watch the Netflix one to watch this one. From his point in the MCU would be that version of him. So essentially, the actors are playing the same thing, but different iteration of them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only upside to me I see out of this is it's very hit the ground running, right? You just throw Daredevil into your either Disney Plus show or your movie. You don't really have to do a lot of explanations. You don't have to show his origin story. Maybe there's like a one-off like line where he's like, delivering a monologue that, kind of says what his past is like and kind of what his code of conduct is, right? And you just kind of get that out of the way. So you could hit the ground running and that could be good. But I feel like you do also kind of lose the opportunity of kind of like refreshing the character, right? Like, I'm not saying any of these characters are old or fragile or gonna like fall apart or but I feel like they've already placed their stamp on the character, right? And it just seems like, okay, now let's just move on. So I know a lot of people would disagree. I love Daredevil, I love Charlie Cox's Daredevil, so there's no like ill will there, right? But like it just seems like just to me, I'm just like, just refresh it, right? If you're gonna basically be starting the character kind of from scratch, maybe just hire a new actor. But at the same time, it's just like, I doubt that Kristen Ritter is listening to this podcast and she's like, hey, you don't want me to have a job? It's like, no, it's fine. I'm not going to be super disappointed if this happens, but it just kind of seems like a missed opportunity. But at the same time, somebody might be screaming at me right now, like, no, this is the opportunity. You have all of the characters, you have them ready to go. Let's just do it. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. I'm in like in a gray mixed area right now.
Yeah, I can go. I can honestly, kind of go either way. To be completely honest, like, I mean, they could put him in there. It's fine. There's rumor that Charlie Cox will be in Spider-Man: No Way Home. That's also possibly a multiversal movie.
Now that's the thing. If this was a multiverse thing, we're talking about something totally different. But if these characters had to stay and stick around, they would have to be like stranded outside of their own world, right? Now where's Foggy? Where's all of where's all of his friends and stuff? And now they're all left behind and they have to like start a brand new life. So that's just a lot more muddled. Now you're just making the characters even more complex than they needed to be. So who knows? It's just weird. Marvel made this whole deal with Netflix before they even thought they were going to have a streaming service, and now they're left kind of figuring out how to not clean up the mess, because it's not a mess, but now it's just like, well, We did something. It's kind of like when it's like when you're starting a project. It's like when you're writing like a sign, right? Like, oh, I'm going to go to a football game and I'm going to say go team, but you start writing the G too big and now you're running out of room and you're starting to get to the end of the sign and you're like, oh crap, that first G was really, really good though. I don't know, bad analogy, but that's all I have to say on this right now.
Well, the other thing is, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin could make an appearance in the Echo spinoff show from the Hawkeye stuff, which that's fine. I mean, I think people want them back. They crave them because they liked them so much in the Netflix shows. But like on the whole, the Netflix shows aren't as good as the MCU probably, and they could possibly just recast them, get someone else. I mean, it's gonna be fine, but at the same time, I don't care enough about these 4 minor characters that I'm gonna be like, oh, you gotta have new ones the whole time. Yeah. So I can go either way, but that's a rumor. We'll see how this plays out in the long run. The other side of that, there's the Flash movie started production, and then what's his name, Andy Muschietti, put up a little video of the new Flash logo here, and I thought it was a CW Flash logo. I'm gonna be honest with you, Mike. Like, it looks pretty close to the CW icon and stuff. So, but that's fine. That means they're under production. Michael Keaton was officially confirmed as Batman on here because his publicist had to say so. So, I think this is pretty good, right? Like, I mean. Yay, Flash! Get in the movie.
Day one, that's a big deal. This movie has had a lot of speed bumps, so this is a big milestone for them.
Would you say he got tripped up running to the finish line?
No, Chris, no, knock it off.
Okay, all right, fine. Speaking of video game movies, yet again, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the sequel, now filming. They're filming outside. They're using stand-ins for lighting and sizing and coloring. Of this movie, and they actually on set you get photos to see Knuckles and Tails in action, not just Sonic. So you get the full spectrum of red, yellow, and blue characters here of different sizes. Knuckles has really big hands, but he's known for his knuckles, if you will, as an echidna. But I mean, these look great. I like these character designs. When they redid them for the movie and pushed back, it was great. The movie's fun to watch. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend getting it and watching it when you can. But adding Knuckles in there is a fan favorite, right? That's the way to go.
Yeah, I still got to get around to watching the original movie. I think it's streaming. It's streaming somewhere for sure. On one of the streaming services I'm subscribed to, it's out there. So you can watch it legally out there if you have a subscription. But
I didn't see it on anything when I tried to watch it. It is.
I swear I scrolled past it. I want to say it was Hulu, but I'm not 100% sure.
You're correct. Prime and Hulu.
But all I can say is there's a desperate Sonic fan out there who wants these so bad. Not only do they want to put them in their gaming room so it can be in the background of their Twitch stream, but they want just the movie memorabilia in general. So make sure that these are locked down in a shed at night with a guard in front of it. I'm assuming this is Georgia. That's where everything's shot. Somebody's going to sneak in. Somebody's going to steal these bad boys.
Yeah, I think it's that. It might be Canada. I think a lot of the actors were from Canadian provinces, but either way,
no, Canadians are too polite. They're not going to steal it. They can just leave them out on the street. They'll be fine.
Well, it looks like the Sonic and the Tails ones are actually like you can move them around. They got like little, they look like very large toys.
Yeah, a little posable, aren't they?
Yeah, I think this is cool. I mean, I'm looking forward to this, and they look like their video game counterparts, right? Like that was the big complaint of the first one with the teeth and the eyes, and now they doubled down. They're like, all right, we got a sequel. Let's make everybody look good. So, yeah. Thoughts, Mike? Anything else you want to add to Sonic the Hedgehog?
Nope. I mean, it's a good sign. Classic Knuckles. They're not going to be a boondoggle here.
Yeah, exactly. Nail it. All right, now it's for your favorite part of the show where we talk the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh boy, here we go.
This
6 weeks wrapping it up here.
6 weeks. This is the finale. This is spoiler territory. If you've not watched it, pause, break, go watch it, come back, listen, or just listen. We don't care anymore. We're this far in the show. If you've not watched it, that's your fault. So yes, we got here. We got through this final episode. I wanted to add this earlier because the Captain America movie. Malcolm Spellman wrote the first episode and the last episode. And you know what those two episodes had in common for the show, Mike? they're the most action-packed episodes of this whole goddamn series. When you look at like, the first one had the Falcon doing the fighting Batroc through with the helicopters, right? And this one had him fighting helicopters in the city. I think he can really write action, which is why I wanted to say for the Academy, it's going to be a really action-packed film, because that's all he can write. It seems that really hit the check marks on this stuff. I've seen your Twitter reactions. I know what you're reacting to. The reviews.
You know what I'm going to say.
I don't have to. There's no surprise here left for me. So, go on, have at it.
I'll say some things that I liked first about this last episode. So, as you know, if you've been listening to this podcast for the years, I'm a big fan of suit reveals. It's usually a thing that ends up being overlooked. So I liked it when shows, really delve into the suits. And I have to say, they nailed the U.S. agent suit there at the very end. This is exactly what Falcon looks like when he becomes Captain America in the comic books, almost to a T. I didn't even really bother pulling up a side by side because I knew they nailed it there.
Can I add before you go? I think
sure.
The WandaVision and this both nailed comic outfits.
Yes.
Their outfits at the end of the show, the reveals were both absolutely spot on. So I agree with that 100%.
And they brought back the kind of emotional connection to Isaiah Bradley, which is the standout best part of the show, the best element of the show by a mile. So I was glad to see more of that. It's cool to see that he finally got placed in the museum, and this is a museum that I really want to visit, right? So I kind of hope it ends up being like an installation at like a comic book convention going forward.
What if it's at Disney?
That would be cool too. That could be like at the Avengers campus. I don't know if that's actually going to be at Disneyland, but who knows? I'm sure they'll build one eventually.
That'd be cool. I agree with that.
Someplace else. But I would love to be able to walk through that, just to see Steve Rogers, see Isaiah Bradley, and then by the time it's built and released, we can probably see the Falcon's tenure as Captain America added to it. I think that would be really cool. But I think this show just overall, I just didn't like it. This last episode didn't save the narrative for me. The themes are just all over the place. It feel like the show just didn't know what it wanted to be. And this really is not Falcon and the Winter Soldier. At the end of the day, this really was just Falcon with Winter Soldier tagging along. The Bucky's story arc, I think, was weak at best. I didn't really get any sort of catharsis at the very end when he finally told his old friend what happened to his son. I could really care less. And also, the character of Bucky, he was a bad guy against his own will, right? He was a programmed just robot that was a killing machine. So when he was going out there kind of making his recompense, trying to make up for what he's done in the past, I just feel like personally, he was going through that, but I don't think really a normal sane person would hold that against him. So his emotional arc really just did not resonate with me at all. I think this show 100% should have just been about Sam and Isaiah. That should have been the show 100%. All of the narrative should have just focused all around that, because they try to bring it back around to just kind of what it's like to be a black superhero, which is an incredibly important story to tell, but man, it just seems so tacked on here at the very, very end. Because when you throw in the probably one of the worst Marvel villains of all time, which is the Flag Smashers, who now, whether or not there was a pandemic or virus subplot that would have been cut, who knows? We may never know. All we can judge is what we're left with, which is probably one of the worst villains of all time. Just totally incomprehensible what their plan was, what they wanted to do. Any sort of emotional connection to any of them was just unexistent. So it's just like all you're left with is just a confusion of just like, what is this show about? What is the main theme of this show? Like, if you look at a show like WandaVision, whether or not you did or didn't like the ending, the show was very much about loss and grief and getting over the death of a loved one. You can look at a show like season 1 of Daredevil, which I would say that show is very rooted in a theme of like revenge, vengeance, what's it like dealing with that. And the themes of this show are just all over the place. Like, what do you even hold on to? So Yeah, I could probably go on all day. It's crazy. Like I've said earlier, kind of in the year, that the pandemic, the anxiety, having trouble sleeping, and just laying there in bed, just wanting your brain to go asleep. And I'm very glad the Winter Soldier is finally over, because those nights where I'm in bed, just like come on, brain, just shut off, just stop thinking about random things and just go to sleep. The Winter Soldier just like walks its way in at like 1 a.m. when I can't fall asleep, and I'm just like nitpicking this show, and I'm just like, this show just needs to be done and over with so I can stop thinking about it. So we are obviously huge Marvel and MCU fans here at the podcast. We've been talking about this universe for 6 years, so I'm obviously going to take this show very seriously when I watch it, when I talk about it, when I analyze it, when I look at it. And this is just overall a very big disappointment for me. Even though I still really like all the characters, I'm very much looking forward to Captain America 4, because Sam Wilson's great. I hopefully the Winter Soldier / Bucky crops up again at some point in time, because I love his character. I loved the relationship that he had with Steve. So I'm excited to see these characters going forward. Maybe except for Sharon Carter, which I think is probably maybe the biggest sin that this show did, was everything around her character. So I feel like at this point in time, I need to know what you think, Chris, because I feel like I could just keep going and going and going and rambling and just getting angrier. And you're the one that's hungry. I ate before the podcast.
no, I'm good. I mean, so I think, to me, I'm not mad at the show. I don't hate the show. I think I'm not up on it. It's not the best one. I think, this and WandaVision are both at their core mediocre television shows. I think this is the flaw of the Marvel's TV approach right now. The villains have no real reason. Like, again, look at Agatha, right? I think, she's great because she had a theme song. That doesn't make her a good villain. The Flag Smashers in this, take them out. I think the real story could have been told. What is the mantle of Captain America? Who can be Captain America should have been the core of this, right? Like, the shield was given to Sam. Well, the government has to make it Captain America. He gives the shield back. They choose John Walker, who is not the good person to be, right? That should have been the focus of these three people. Captain America's best friend, and Bucky, his not a good soldier but a good man, his successor, the Falcon, and then ultimately who the government would choose, which would be the U.S. agent at the end of the day, John Walker. I think that should have been the core of the show. The Flag Smashers, I agree. They're nothing. They're absolutely nothing to this. They're what I would call a zero sum. What they did to the world when they came in and what they ended up is still, they leveled out, right? Like, they're all dead. They all got blown up. Did Carly live? No, Carly got shot. She died.
Well, I think they kind of glossed over what her definitive outcome was, with maybe the idea of maybe bringing her back, because they show her as dead, like laying on the ground. I think they even say like killed, like this girl, like, fought to the death to stop you or something like that. But then they do rush her out on a stretcher, and then they roll her away. So you never really see her in a body bag. So I think they're leaving that open-ended.
Yeah, I could see them, if they don't want to bring her back due to reaction. I could totally be like, yeah, that's fine.
It could go either way.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm gonna give props to this last episode, I thought they were going to take the John Walker character and just make him an absolute fuckface, to put it nicely, like ruining the plans of everybody. But he actually redeemed himself quite a bit. Like, I wasn't annoyed with him as much as I have been in all the other episodes. Did he though?
I mean, really, his
redemption, not like a redemption of a character, but like he was like he didn't annoy me when he was on screen with what he was doing. I'm like, he's actually doing he's like actually doing stuff that's helpful for once, not like get out of my way, I'm gonna kill this girl kind of thing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. His character is definitely he's leaning towards like an anti-hero, I think, more so. He's probably gonna be very manipulative. If they give him a wife, she's gonna get killed at some point. He's gonna go crazy. I guarantee.
I think he does have a wife. Who's
that's
that
what I'm saying.
Third woman? Is that his wife though?
Yeah,
or
that's
are they
his wife.
Engaged, or
yeah. Like, that's his wife, and I'm like, she's gonna die, and it's gonna send him on a darker path. Like, they're setting that up right then and there with I want to say Elaine from Seinfeld.
That's fine. Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah, the not power broker. I think they're setting up something fun with the Dark Avengers there with him, but he was like not like the worst character in this episode. As a whole, I mean, everyone's like, oh, it gets preachy. I'm like, well, the whole message is like, Falcon's like, we can talk this out, right? We don't have to fight. So I'm glad he was able to have his moment to like talk to these annoying senators.
The problem that I have with that moment in general, though, is that it's just like it's so lacking of what the whole show was like talking about in general. It's just like a speech at the very end is not going to solve everybody's problem. A lot of people attribute something like that to a writer like Aaron Sorkin. They say like Aaron Sorkin has this belief that if you just have the perfect speech, if you just string the perfect amount and order of words together, you can turn anybody around and solve anybody's problem. But I mean, if anybody has been alive in like the last 4 years, we've all become very familiar with politics. I wasn't for a second believing any word that would ever come out of his mouth would change the mind of any of these senators. And also, I just personally hate the movie/TV trope where there's news cameras filming and getting this out there to the world. It's just kind of like a way to let the audience know that like, oh, don't worry, everybody is going to know what's happening here. He's not going to have to go out and like, tell his side of the story. It's being telecast everywhere. So everyone will know he's the real Captain America now. It's just like, so it's just tied into a trope that I hate. It's just, and I've seen some people like clipping that moment and like throwing it up on Twitter and it's like, yeah, man, this is what Steve Rogers like should have been saying the whole time. This is the real Captain America. And it's just like, no, this is not what we need to be doing right now.
Well, no, I don't. I mean, I'm not against this. I think honestly, I mean, I get the trope of the TV thing, but I don't think he changed anyone's minds. But he's at least. They didn't at the end. They're like, "Oh, we're reverting everything back to normal." Like at least we'll take time to look at this. They didn't rush the vote, kind of thing. At least he bought them time, and that's fine. Yeah, I don't know what the future holds for Bucky in this. They didn't really show him go off to do anything, did he? Like, is he just going to go back to the military kind of thing?
Yeah,
I guess?
yeah. I don't want to say he like walked off into the sunset, but I feel like maybe the last shot we saw. Was it the barbecue? Was it the barbecue at the very end on the pier by the boat, or was it after he told his friend
he
what
left?
happened to his son?
I think the end of the show he left the book with the therapist.
That might be kind of his last.
So
moment.
There's that. I'm going to lean into one fan theory that hopefully turns out to be true. I don't normally do this. Is that Sharon is a Skrull? That she is like her change of character is because she's a Skrull now. Like, I'm like, obviously last episode showed she's the power broker, right? Like she hired Batroc and like was like, I'm gonna kill these people and I'm also gonna give you Bucky and Sam. So she's doing something, but I like to think that she is a Skrull and like this is part of a smaller, like she could be in Secret Invasion, like or down the road, like maybe that. The other theory that I'm not, I like the character, but like maybe she's working for Sam Rockwell's character from Iron Man 2, Justin Hammer, who wants to get revenge on the government for essentially throwing him away.
Maybe. So if we just have to look at it as face value of what we have now, like I said, to me, like Sharon Carter is probably one of the biggest sins of the show, is because we don't have a whole lot of Sharon Carter to go off of, right? She's really just been in 2 movies, which was Winter Soldier and Civil War. And in both of those movies, she has been nothing but the epitome of good and a hero. She's always been like connected to Cap's fight. She's always been putting her own life on the line to save people when they need to be saved. And I'm not saying that you can't take a good character and have them break bad, if you will. That's a very compelling story to watch a character go down that road. But they do that with like one sentence in like the 3rd episode of just like, oh yeah, they said I'm a bad guy because I stole Cap's shield, so here I am in Madripoor being like a super bad guy now. It's just like, no, you just can't do that. You can't totally change a character like this just with like one sentence, like offhandedly, and expect that everybody's gonna buy into it. So that's what I really hated. Like it's not that she went bad. I'm not saying that she couldn't make a good villain and the actor couldn't knock it out of the park, but like, wow, what a way to really drop the ball on that transformation.
I think we're going to see this. I think her, like the beauty of this is they've set her up for more and they will show us this. I don't think if they just killed her at the end of it instead and we got nothing else, I'd be like, yeah, I agree with you. But I think there's going to be more with her to do later on. Now, I will tell you, I noticed, I don't know if it's pandemic related or if they added this in later, the actress who plays Sharon Carter, Emily Van Camp, I believe. She actually had more weight in her face at the end. Like, they filmed this much later. Like, she looks like she does now in the TV show she's doing than she did at the beginning in like episode 3. So I don't know if they've added this in separately at the end, or they had to film it after the pandemic stuff, like later. I want to say that because normally they don't do that unless it's like new scenes they've added in for some purpose, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, and also you could also attribute her character and her role to probably the most lackluster post-credit scene that exists in the MCU. We didn't end up getting that second credit scene. I watched all the way through the credits that showed the other dubs for the other versions of this show, and all we got was just her getting pardoned. I was like, oh, big whoop-de-doo. So another big letdown for me over here.
I think, honestly, I assumed the whatever the Valentina, Contessa Valentina, whatever, she would have been in there somewhere, but I honestly believe this will tie into something in Black Widow is going to give us some more information into this, because again, if we look at the original release, was supposed to be Black Widow, Falcon, Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Doctor Strange, and now everything has been shifted, and so now we've got to wait for everything. But I'm hoping to see where this goes, because I think there's going to be some crossings and double crossings in the next phase of movies. Pretty hardcore. Now, on the whole, I think I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say maybe we'll get to see the origins of that one courtroom set that they used.
They love reusing the sets in this
and over again.
They loved it. I believe again. I'm gonna pin that on COVID protocol. They we get this one set. What can we do with it?
Yeah, maybe.
Because they did use it quite a bit. I think honestly I'm gonna rate this up there with Mortal Kombat 50% for the whole show. Finale, I'm glad they did the action. I love the Falcon suit. I love what he was able to do as the Falcon. The Captain America stuff, but he was using the shield and stuff like that.
Yeah,
with the new
that was
cool.
Yeah. We don't really have confirmation whether or not this new Wakandan Falcon or Captain America armor is all vibranium, or if it's vibranium coated, or maybe it's just a really powerful alloy that Shuri came up with. Maybe there's no vibranium involved at all, but there was, I think I specifically liked the moment where he's on the bridge and he puts his wings over him, and then he fills the top gap with the shield. So he kind of makes this encompassing protective dome around himself, which was really, really cool. And I love the moment where he flies through the helicopter to take that one guy out when that woman jumps in and takes control of the helicopter. So they do some really cool stuff with that combination of the shield and the wings for sure.
And his jetpack looks a little more powerful too than the other one. Because using that blue, it looked like maybe Wakanda or like maybe Stark Tech booster kind of, rather, because it looked like he was able to go underwater for a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like somebody was really twisting Shuri's arm over in Wakanda, because she does not seem like the type of person that would have intentionally painted this red, white, and blue. So I don't know if maybe Sam did that on his own when he opened up the case, but I feel like that they're very much a shiny, matte black or just very streamlined look over there in Wakanda. So I feel like even though as much as my brain would want to see just like the cool blacked out suit, they made sure to call him Black Falcon like 4 times in this TV show. But
Captain Falcon's already taken, so that's
that's true. Yeah, but the suit and the shield combo, it works really well for me.
I'm really glad they didn't beat around the bush with this suit. Like when you see him for the first time in this episode, he's in the suit. Like they don't it's gonna be revealed at the end he's got a new suit for like the one battle, but no, they give it to him right out the gate kind of thing. I'm like, that's nice. I like that. And there was this one scene where he lands on the bridge and the wings fold up behind him, and it looks really, really good for CG. I'm like, that's where the money went, right there, making that scene look realistic. But yeah, I'm gonna give this series like a 50% on the whole. Like, I've seen worse TV shows, I've seen worse plots. It's just setting up a bunch more future stuff without really doing anything for us right now. And hopefully these get better as they go and they learn from these. What audiences are reacting to.
Yeah, I know you're slightly more negative on WandaVision than I am, but it almost seems like we are both kind of agreeing that so far the additions to the MCU on the Disney Plus side of things they're relatively inconsequential, which to the MCU at large, which I feel like is not entirely what we were promised. I know we were promised like high budget, high thrills, the only difference between this and an MCU movie is the runtime, but it really seems like they're constructing narratives that don't have to be watched in order to keep going to the movie theaters, right? When Captain America 4 comes out, and Sam Wilson is Captain America, I doubt the Flag Smashers are going to pop back up. I don't think a lot of these characters are going to pop back up. I really just don't think this is required watching material. Even for WandaVision, the only thing it supposedly could explain is maybe why there's a white Vision out there running around. When Doctor Strange comes across Wanda in his movie coming up, really the only difference to him as a character is a slightly different suit. And, I guess now she's taking magic a little bit more seriously, but really anybody, even without these TV shows, could just assume that she's kind of always just practicing in the background. That's just kind of her thing.
Well, I think the expansion of her power is important, and she's trying to get her kids, and if you didn't watch it and figure out she had kids, you'd be like, what the hell's going on? I think that's why it's important.
Yeah.
This one's setting up, again, a new Captain America, which is getting a movie. They've probably been sitting on that for a while, if I'm going to be honest. So we get a Captain America 4 movie that's going to tie into this, and then possibly the Thunderbolts. But it's the end of the show that makes the changes. It's nothing along the way that's been doing anything. We're saving. You could probably not watch anything and binge it all the last day and be like, yeah, I get it, and I'm good, and rather than have to do the week by week kind of deal with this. So the next one we get is Loki. God, yes. I hope that's way better.
That was the palate cleanser on Friday night. My wife felt a very similar way to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I was just like, you know what? I just realized you haven't watched the new Loki trailer yet. I threw that up on there, and I asked her what she thought, and she was like, this looks great because it actually looks and feels like a movie. And I was like, yes, I totally agree. So I feel like Loki, and Chris, I should have listened to you. You were totally right. You kept saying that out of the three, this is the one that you were looking forward to the most, and I think you're going to be totally right. Even though I am much more positive on WandaVision, but really at the same time, MCU movies are so much more rewatchable because the length. I don't know, even if I really liked WandaVision, or even if I really like Loki, I don't know if I'm really ever gonna sit down and rewatch them, especially considering that these shows may or may not be getting sequels. I know Loki, there might be a possibility there, but the only reason I ever went back and watched Daredevil, which is very long, I mean, that's like 13 hours to sit through to watch all the first season of Daredevil, I would go back and maybe rewatch them when the Defenders was about to come out, or when maybe a new season was dropping, just to connect on.
I wouldn't even do that. It's just so, you could watch a whole phase of MCU movies in the time it takes to watch a show kind of thing.
So I just don't think, even no matter how good these are, which is not really good for Disney Plus, considering what they ultimately want to do is build up a catalog, is I don't think I'm ever going to go back and really rewatch these. I feel like I got what I needed out of them to ultimately go back to the theaters and watch the movie. So I don't know if ultimately that is the best sign for Disney Plus, but they're destroying all of their subscription projection goals, so they do not care what I think or have to say, because they're making money hand over fist, and it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, I think, again, I'm not negative on these. They're like 50%. They're like going back and watching, again, like the first 3 Marvel movies, right? Like Iron Man 1's good, but it doesn't hold up. The Incredible Hulk, depending on how you feel about it, like, it's fine. Like, these shows are just fine. And the end of the is what you're waiting for, but I don't need to go back and watch it. But so I agree with that. So I'm sitting at 50%. Like, these are, at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, it's fine, it's whatever. Like, when's the next movie? When's the next high budget thing coming out? Because if you're given a high budget movie, you're gonna get a lot more in that 2 hours than you're for 6 hours here.
I have never been more excited for Black Widow. I mean, even though it has a little bit of prequelitis for me, it's a time that we've already passed, and a character that is unfortunately already gone. So we won't be there. Not a whole lot of tension if you go back there. She's not going to die.
There's a lot of questions in that movie, though. So
yeah, but do I want like a comprehensible 2-hour narrative? I'm begging it, especially after watching Kong versus Godzilla, after watching Mortal Kombat, after watching 6 episodes of this. Just I want to watch something thought out so bad, something brand new that's thought out. I'm begging you people, please.
Yeah, no, I agree. So hopefully Loki gives us something new. Again, hopefully that doesn't give you prequelitis with a dead character, but dealing with different timelines, sign me up. I want to see some action. So we'll look forward to June around the corner.
It was catharsis for me, Chris. It's out of my system. I feel good.
I know, right? 2 mediocre things all in one day, all in one weekend, right here. If people want to know more about the show, where they can find that Mortal Kombat review, where can they do that?
Well, you can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can, in case there's a catch-up shortage, you can catch up with me on Twitter, Valdan, VALDAN, or Instagram, Valdan87.
There is a ketchup shortage, isn't there?
There is. That's what I'm referencing. I'm actually making a joke, but also being very timely with it.
Bringing real world events into the show.
Also, I'm really hungry. I want some food. Maybe it involves ketchup. I don't know. Twitter, Instagram, Valdan87. People know more about the show, more about what we do. Where can they find that at? And reminder, we're taking off next week, but
yes,
after
this is going to be a wrap up special for Chris, who is literally about to eat himself alive. Yeah. It's a very simple ask. Just head on over to superheroslate.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. And as always, we love super fans of Superhero Slate. And if you want to be a super fan, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. And this is normally where I'd say we're here every week, but next week we're taking a break and we'll be back the week after, which I'm sure a ton of news to go over. So stay subscribed and stay tuned, everybody.
All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Also, again, key lime Kit Kats. You can let me know if you want one.
I think I'll be able to find one on my own, but if I start to struggle, I'll reach out.